Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Brooke. I am so excited about today's video because this is the first year that I'll be partaking in Horror Mayhem. It is the perfect way to read horror during the springtime, just outside the normal spooky season. I have been on the lookout for different horror reading challenges to join in throughout the year, and that is whenever I stumbled across the Bookish Bryant's page about, I would say, a month or two ago. And so I was able to go through and discover Horror Mayhem and look through some of the past years and the prompts that they had done before. I do want to just go ahead and say, Becky, I'm so sorry for your loss. I can tell how much Scott was loved within this community, and despite it being hard that he is not here with us this year, I'm glad that we're all able to still share our love for books and have that piece of him while we continue on. And I'm looking forward to going back and just seeing the love that he had for books. But I do want to get into my TBR this year. If I kind of look off screen a bit, I apologize. I just want to make sure that I'm saying things correctly with the different years and authors' names. But this year we're not doing different prompts for each week. Typically there's 4 different prompts for the month. This year we are doing Decades of Dread. So reading books throughout the different decades. There's no set number of books that you have to read, just trying to read across different decades and see how horror has grown. So for me, I personally wanted to get into some of the classics and try to read some of the oldest horror that I could find, but I also came up with a fun idea of trying to read horror books from the birth year of different family members. So I will go into details of those years in a bit. But the first book that I want to read is The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. I did end up getting that on my Kindle. I don't believe it was free, but it was very cheap. I think maybe 50 cents. This one was published in 1765, and as far as I could tell, it is kind of deemed that first horror or gothic novel. So I was really excited to read the first and then continue to read from different decades and see how things have changed. This one follows Prince Manfred as he's trying to save his family's legacy, and alongside that, the family has a lot of misfortunes. So his plan to rectify this is to marry his son's bride Isabel and divorce his current wife. So I'm sure there's a lot going on in this story, so I'm really excited to dive into it and see how things go for this family and his saving of the legacy. Then next I'm going into a classic. I have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. While I don't think this one necessarily needs an introduction, we follow Victor Frankenstein while he decides to take it in his own hands and create life. He decides to completely abandon his creation, and without any human companionship, he decides to take revenge. Frankenstein is one of those classics that I have not read yet, so I'm very excited to get into it. I do want to also watch different film adaptations and compare the two. Something I thought that was so cool, this one was published in 1818, and while I don't know a whole lot about Mary Shelley, while I was looking things up, she literally wrote this when she was 18, which is in itself is crazy, but I just think it's funny how she was 18 and it was released in 1818. Then I will be doing Carmilla, which was released in 1872 by, sorry, I'm gonna have to read the name, J. Sheridan Le Fanu. I'm also reading this on my Kindle. I believe I was able to find it on Kindle Unlimited. There's always a few different versions that you can find on Kindle, but I did find it on KU. This one follows Laura and her ailing father, who live secluded out in the Austrian forest until they have an unexpected guest, Carmilla, who arrives by carriage. As a relationship forms, Laura finds herself becoming a lot weaker, being tormented by nightmares, and finds Carmilla's behavior very mysterious as of late. This one was published, 20 some years before Dracula, so it's kind of interesting to see that and compare to Dracula, which I also haven't read, but I didn't put it on this list. Eventually I will get to it. So that'll be fun to compare the two. And then getting into the birth years of my family members, I do have Some of Your Blood by Theodore Sturgeon, which was published in 1961. So that is for my dad's birth year. I was also able to get that one on my Kindle. This one follows Army psychiatrist Outerbridge and his soldier patient George Smith as they unfold his familyhood trauma, a relationship with an older woman, and this secret obsession that George is holding within himself. And I'm really intrigued. I'm excited to read from different authors that I've never read from before, except for one of these on the list. And then for 1965, my mother's birth year, I will be doing Magazine of Horrors. They include different short stories. I have saved number 7 and 8 because those were both released in this year. I think there might have been a few others, but those are just the ones I ended up saving. I got them from Internet Archive, I believe is the name. Yes, Internet Archive. I don't know if other people have been using that, but I had just been looking up all these different books that are older that aren't really accessible anywhere else. And I came across this page and they have books, movies, all sorts of stuff that you can find. and even kind of like rent as well, as if it's a library. So if you also haven't been very familiar with that site, I would definitely check it out. There's a lot that they have on there. And then moving on to my sister's birth year, 1989, I have The New Girl by R.L. Stine. So I have read him before. I grew up reading Goosebumps, loved Goosebumps so much. This is the first book in the Fear Street series, which I have not read any of them, but I will say I have yet to find this one. I did see it on the Internet Archive, but it said it wasn't available to like rent or anything in my area. So I'm gonna have to do some digging in order to find this one. I mean, it might have been on my Kindle, but I just had to pay more than I like necessarily wanted to. So I'm gonna continue to look around a bit. I haven't really checked audiobooks, so obviously that could be an option. But yeah, I'm really hoping to find that one soon. This one follows Corey Brooks, who is completely infatuated by the new girl at school, Anna Corwin, and just as soon as she has arrived, she has disappeared. So he decides to go to her home on Fear Street to discover what has happened to her and what is going on. And this comes with some big consequences. It could lead him to finding the love of his life, or it could take his own life. So for my year, 1997, I have The Haunting by Paul Doherty. In this one, Father Oliver Grayfield, who is a Catholic priest and exorcist, is sent out to look over Candleton Hall and see what is going on with the haunted experiences, and what he finds here is darkness and malevolence. I have never read an exorcist story before, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays off on page and see if it's something that like actually scares me, whereas in movies it is so scary. So I'm curious to see how that translates. And then for my last one, I'm jumping to 2021 with Robbie Dorman's Death Rattle. I got this one during Krampus Festival last year in Orlando. His layout, first of all, was so cool. He had like a book menu for all of his books. If I can find a photo of it, I will try to put it up here just so you can see. It was just a really nice setup and easy way to figure out what books might interest you. But in this one, we follow Ebner Graves, who is a longtime resident of Fleet, Texas, and he is now unfortunately seeing his town dry up. And while he's already afraid of what is becoming of his town, in walks Oscar Fuchs, who is an investor and decides to buy out the land and community surrounding Fleet. And he is terrified that the same thing will happen to Fleet and see the town that he loves so much be taken away from him. But Ebner cannot catch a break because all of a sudden locals start dying, especially ones who are getting in Oscar's way. So he takes it upon himself to go to Sunnyside Meadow, the community that Oscar has built out, and he finds exactly the cause of the killings: vampires. I'm so excited about this. I haven't read from this author yet before. I do have another one of his books, War on Halloween, that I will be reading for Horror Bingo, so like look forward to that TBR as well. But yeah, I'm pumped. Like while looking back over on my TBR for this, I feel like I do have a lot of like gothic, haunted, and like vampire stories on here, which really wasn't intentional. But I'm really excited to go into all these. I'm not sure how often I will give updates. I might just end up doing a wrap up at the end of the month to kind of give my thoughts on these books. If I do end up watching Frankenstein during this time as well, I might end up doing like a comparison video. Otherwise, I might push that back because I do overall have other books on my May TBR, but this is like the sole focus. So yeah, that is all I have for my TBR. So if you're also joining in Horror Mayhem this month, let me know if we happen to have the same books. I mean, even though we're going through multiple decades and there's endless options, there's obviously a possibility that some of us have the same books on our TBR. So if you do, let me know. If you have other recommendations to share or just want to share some of your most anticipated ones on your TBR, please comment below. I'm so excited to start going through everyone's videos and seeing what you're reading and watch any like follow-up videos of progress as you go and just a final wrap-up as well. I've been really wanting to get more involved in like the bookish community and especially the horror community here on BookTube. So this is like the perfect way to do that. And I just can't wait to read more horror with y'all this month. So yeah, let me know what you're reading below. Thank you. Bye.